Hello, I am coming to you on the summer solstice. It probably won't be the summer solstice when I post this because it will probably go online in a couple days, but today is the summer solstice and we have heats. It feels like summer. My face is sweaty, my hair is fluffy, while simultaneously looking like it really needs to be washed. But I have some books for you. I have some recommended summer reading, and first of all, I'd like to say that I missed you and I'm sorry for being away for so long, but I'm here with some recommendations. I have 5 fiction and 5 nonfiction, and these are good books for any time of reading, but I'm gonna say that they're like good summer reading, okay? Let's get into it. So the first book I have, I've not piled these in order, that's annoying of me. The first book I have was the last book I read last year, and it was like one of the best that I read all year. It was so good. So this is Scaffolding by Elkin, has a really good cover, and this book is like an Eric Romer film. If you like Eric Romer films where there's not like a huge amount of plot, it's more about philosophical conversations with the people that you're sharing the space with, or deep internal musings about your love and life and what it all means. Yeah, you'll like this book. We have a protagonist who has moved into a new apartment in Paris. Her husband is working in London, and she has just recently gone through a very upsetting personal trauma, and so she is trying to find her way back to herself. She stepped back from work. She's trying to tentatively figure out how to get back to that. Her relationship is feeling stretched from the long distance and also from the trauma that they're dealing with. And it's very much, she meets a new person. This new person influences her life. It causes her to think about herself and her relationships and just what they all mean to her and how they are shaping her life. I really loved it. It was very philosophical, whilst at the same time very very lifelike, very it's just really easy to read. It feels very much I feel lost for words. Yeah, it was like a really easy to read book, but it had really multiple layers to it, a lot of depth, and it really kind of took those questions off the page and made me think about my relationships and the way that they shaped my life. And yeah, I think Elkin is a brilliant writer. Then, okay, so I think that summer is the best time for horror, whether that is reading horror or watching horror. Now, I don't do a lot of reading horror. It's not really the kind of thing that I like to read, but I do like to watch horror. But this book, I would say, is perfect horror book and horror film. And summer is the perfect time for horror. Let me explain. So it's like when you get into autumn, which is kind of, spooky season, I feel like it's too predictable. However, in the summer, everybody lets their guard down. Everybody feels relaxed. Things go at a slower pace, sorry. And it doesn't seem like the place or the time for horror, but it is. Everything is on a knife's edge because of this relaxation everywhere. The heat amplifies everything. It can feel smothering, and yeah, it's just the unexpected. I feel like horror is perfect in the summer, and that is a hill that I will die on. I will fight that corner. I think that summer is the perfect time for horror, and so I think that you should read Rosemary's Baby this summer if you haven't read it yet. It's written by Levin, and this is a man who perfectly encapsulates the anxiety of being in a woman's body and how your autonomy feels threatened almost all the time. And if you don't know the story by now, you really should. I feel like this is a spoiler, but also this is a really famous story. So Rosemary and her husband Guy, they are newlyweds. They move into a very famous New York building, and it is haunted by violent happenings. And they have some kooky neighbors, and it turns out that they are in a cult who worship Satan, and they get Rosemary pregnant with Satan's spawn. And yeah, it's brilliant. And the anxiety that just like absolutely like shimmers off the page is just it's so overwhelming. And because it goes over a long period of time, because before she gets pregnant, she moves into the building, and then her whole pregnancy. But the height of her pregnancy is at the height of summer, and it just feels so overwhelming, so smothering, so everything is amplified and intensified, and I think it's brilliant. We won't speak about the director of the film but I would say the film is also incredible. Next I have Joan Didion's debut novel, Run River. This is a slow burn, but I think it's worth it. We have like a family saga. We have a lot of family history. It feels like the Californians in Joan Didion's writing are very focused on their history as Americans, their history as Californians, and that's in this book. But the main focus point of the book is a marriage, and it is one that is falling apart. It's one that has a lot of clashes and a lot of betrayals, and I think that she really depicts well these two different people coming together, and how does that all fit together, and what do we expect from one another, and what do we do when those expectations aren't met. I really love Joan Didion's fiction. I know that pretty much all of us have read Joan Didion at some point. Mostly her non-fiction, her essays are brilliant, but I really like her style of writing when it comes to fiction as well. I feel like I'm going to be like squinting this whole time because the sun is so bright. Okay, next. Okay, a little bit of a theme. I love a book about a marriage falling apart, and James Salter's Light Years is about a marriage that's falling apart. We have the couple at the center, Nedra and Viri, and they are beautiful. Their life is beautiful. Their children are beautiful. Their home is beautiful. This is a book of beautiful things that are just not satisfying. And what do you do when you have things that are picture perfect but you're not happy? What do you do, yet again, like Joan Didion's book, when your expectations aren't met? What do you do when you, from the outside, everything looks perfect, but on the inside you feel empty? I think that this book is just full of gorgeous writing, but it's also like really well, the interior of the book is very well adorned. Like the homes, the interiors feel lived in, they feel so real, and I think that really adds to the story. It's a very sexy book as well, I think. Yeah, so if you like me, if you like stories about marriages falling apart, then this is really good. What else do I have? Oh, okay, another fiction, my last fiction book for you. Oh my god, I'm like tearing through these. I feel like I'm talking really fast because I'm not used to doing these videos anymore, and I'm anxious. So The Wall by Marlen Haushofer. Recently I read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman, and I hadn't initially wanted to really read it, just because it's a bit of a booktube darling. Like everybody has read it or is reading it on booktube, on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere, and everyone's having a lot of thoughts about it, and it sounded good to me, but I don't really like to read things when everybody's talking about them, because I'm very capable of forming my own opinion, but I have this anxiety that I won't be able to do that I'll be too influenced. Although if you know me, you know I'm very strongly opinionated, and that's not really the case. But yes, it was Sophie from Bibliosophie said, look, you're really going to like this, you should read it. So I did, and I did like it. She was correct. And I also read, maybe a couple of years ago, sorry, I will get around to speaking about this, but a couple of years ago I also read Women Talking by Miriam Toews, and I feel like Miriam Toews' Women Talking and Jacqueline Hartman's I Who Have Never Known Men are kind of, it felt like a combination of like this book fits in. It's like a good trio of women really thinking about existence, and this one is my favorite out of those three. I feel like they fit very well together if you want a theme, but like this one is the best out of the three. We have a woman taking a holiday in the Austrian wilderness in the mountains with her friends, and they're staying in this big cabin, and her friends go off to the little town nearby to a pub for like dinner or drinks or whatever, and she decides to stay home. And the next morning she realizes they're not back, and when she goes to look for them, it turns out that an invisible wall has descended between the forest and beyond. And yeah, she realizes she is by herself. She realizes that this is not something that's going to be over soon. And the book is essentially her life stretching out before her with nobody there, in the middle of nowhere, in the wilderness. And how is she going to survive? Why should she try to survive? What does life mean? What did life mean even before? And what do relationships mean? What does it mean to carry on in the face of something like this? And this book just, I still think about it pretty much. Like, it feels like I'm exaggerating when I say this, but like, I swear I am not. I think about this book every single day since I read it. Can you hear those seagulls? They're like really loud because we have baby seagulls on the roof opposite us, and rightfully so, they're like really protective. The parents are very protective. Anyway, yeah, I think about this book all the time. It's the perfect kind of like utopia, dystopia, and the tension between them, and like it's just deep philosophical musing of like, what's the point in life? What's the point in all this? Like, what do our relationships mean to us? What does our relationship to the land look like? Could it be stronger? Like, what are we moving towards? Like, I think it's just such a beautiful book to make you think. And on the surface, it seems very simple. It seems like she is living basically the same day, repeating it, like feeding the cow, milking the cow, sowing beans and potatoes, and then, you know, like harvesting them and like putting one fruit in front of the other, essentially. But it is so much more than that. And I feel like, honestly, this book is so special to me. And yeah, like I said, I think about it every day. I feel like the questions that are in here just like they reside within me all the time, and I just absolutely love it. Like I feel emotional thinking about it. So I don't usually cry when I read books. I cry a lot in real life. I cry a lot at films. I cry a lot with music, but I don't really cry when I'm reading. And I think it's probably because when I'm reading, I'm like, you know, there's like an analytical brain there. Like I'm thinking about form, structure, vocabulary. I'm thinking about like how they're turning a phrase. Like I really feel like I can't switch that off. It's not necessarily like super active, but it's there. And I'm actually curious to know, like, do you feel that way too? Especially if you're a writer and you're reading. How easy do you find it to turn off that kind of like analytical part in your brain? Because I find it quite hard, but it doesn't necessarily bother me. But I think it is one of the reasons that I don't really cry when I'm reading books. Like I'm more just marveling at the work that the writer has done. Not to say that books don't affect me. They definitely affect me emotionally. It's just, maybe it's just like, there's like an extra step back. But this book did make me cry. And that does not happen often. It really deeply moved me. So if you would like a revelatory summer, maybe this is the book for you. Okay, I almost chucked that into my cup of tea. Okay, moving on to some non-fiction. So recently, I did this as an audiobook, Nothing Ever Just Disappears, 7 Hidden Histories by Diarmuid Hester. And it's the kind of non-fiction book that I will like pick up quite often. It's about figures in literary and art history that have, you know, had a deep impact on the culture. So this book is about queer figures in art and literary history, and about the spaces that they have created, especially with their work, and why that's so deeply important to the culture today. Some of the figures that Diarmuid Hester looks at are Derek Jarman, Ian Foster, Josephine Baker, James Baldwin, like really interesting, really important figures, and the lens at which he looks through it, choosing to look at queer space and why it's so important that we don't let them just disappear is really, really good. And then a kind of a theme again, I would say, Self-Portrait by Celia Paul. This is a memoir of Celia Paul, the writer, writing about her childhood, then going to a boarding school, then going to the Slade School of Art in London, and then her relationship with the older artist Lucian Freud, and how all of this impacts on her work as an artist. I really love artist memoirs. I love being in the mind of an artist or a writer. I love seeing their process. I love seeing what they feel has influenced them and inspired them and what they turn it into. And yeah, Celia Paul just has a very gentle, reflective tone that was just really lovely to get lost in. So yeah, if you like reading about the artistic process, this would be a good book for you. And again, talking about art, A Month in Siena by Hisham Matar is a writer, Matar, going to Siena to look at the Sienese paintings, and he is also carrying a lot of grief about the death of his father, and he's kind of exploring that whilst also like getting lost in analysing these paintings, whilst also really fully immersing himself being in Siena. And it's a perfect portrait of art, grief, and time and place. And he's a really, really good writer. I haven't read any of his other work. I really, really want to now, because yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful like turn of phrase. And I love art history, and I love reading about art, and the way that he just sits in front of these huge paintings and observes them. Really gorgeous. And then, oh, I have this one here with a brilliant cover. Freedom is a Constant Struggle by Angela Y. Davis. What a cover, like the color of red, perfect. The portrait, perfect. I love it so much. So this book it's a collection of speeches, interviews, essays, pieces of writing, all collated together under the theme of freedom. And what it does is connects the thread of state violence across many places in the world, and the oppression that it causes, and how it is all the same fight. Like, my freedom is tied up with your freedom, is tied up with their freedom, and so on. And you know, it's something that we should all be facing and understanding and working towards together. And I mean, if anyone has a succinct, clear voice on the subject, it is Angela Y. Davis, a very, very well-known activist and academic on the subject. This is also available as an audiobook, I'm sure, and I feel like it would be very good as an audiobook, but I did read the physical copy. And lastly, Braiding Sweetgrass. What's the full title? Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants by Wall Kimmerer. I love this book. I actually read this, no, I didn't read the physical book. I did it as an audiobook because Wall Kimmerer was narrating it herself, and she has an incantatory voice. It is so like soft and like just melodic, and like I felt like I was being carried along by a very safe voice, if that makes sense. Like, I really could relax into it. I spent a lot of time with it, like long stretches of time, because I was just so mesmerized. I was under the spell. Like, the content of the book is brilliant, but it was also her delivery that really, really drew me in. This book, I mean, the title says it all. It is about Indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the teaching of plants. That is what you're getting. it's a collection of essays, and it's examining the kind of the reciprocal relationship that we have with nature, and how that hasn't always, and is certainly not now, always observed by people. And it's just a really convincing book as to like why we should listen to Indigenous folk and the things that they have to say about nature. Like, they know their land, like that should be who we're listening to, and we should look at the science, and we should let nature tell us herself as well. So yeah, I think some of the criticism for this book was that it got a bit repetitive, or it felt repetitive, and I would agree that there is repetition, but I don't see that as a negative. I see it as an underscoring. I see it as, you know, I mean, nature is cyclical, like themes come back around, like the same points come back around, and I don't think of it as a criticism. I see it as an important reiteration of information. But yeah, if you are someone who in summer likes to be out in nature, you're surrounded by the trees, you're lying in the grass, and that's something that's important to you and like makes you feel something, then I would recommend reading this book. And I would definitely recommend the audiobook if you can, because that voice, beautiful. And so I also listened to, and would recommend, the Ologies podcast episode with Wall Kimmerer. It is about moss. It's Bryology, and she's speaking about moss, but it, like, you know, like that might not tempt you, but let me tell you, it is fascinating. And she has another book that is about moss that I would really like to read sometime soon. Yeah. Oh my god, we did it. I've filmed a video. I've given you recommendations. I miss you and I appreciate you, and so here they are. I would love to know what you are looking forward to reading this summer. Like, what is the one book that you're like, yes, I can't wait to sit down with it? But also, if you do read any of these, or you have already read any of them, I would really love to hear your thoughts on it. Thank you for watching. If you stuck with my rambling for this long, then sincerely thank you. And if there's anything that you would like me to film, like, let me know. Maybe it'll give me like a kick up the butt to do it. I do have planned a video. I would like to film what I would like to read this summer. Like, I am not a planned reader. I never plan what I'm going to read in advance, but I want to maybe have like a loose, easily led off of path of books that I might get to this summer. So I am planning on filming that soon. But if there is anything else that you'd like to see from me, like, please let me know. But yeah, thank you again very much. I am sweating so much. I'm going to go out and enjoy the sun a little bit. Oh my god, it is hot.